be answering questions as well as we can. Let's make sure we're inviting all those people in here as well. So thank you, thank you, thank you. As we're getting in here, I will be doing a yeah, the Cowboys lost. I will be doing let's see here. There we go. I will be doing a meetup today at noon at Aviera. So go ahead, join me down in Carlsbad today at noon as well. And I'll pin that up there, David at dmeltzer.com. All right.
And we'll continue to bring people up here on the Breakfast of Champions.
Thank you, Jake. I appreciate it. And it's just a pleasure to be here. Yeah, my takeaway is interesting. Because one of the things I'm trying to get people to do in my life is to be grateful. Great gratitude, forgiveness, accountability, and effective communication are the 4 core values of my personal and professional life. And I'm always challenged myself to, understand why I forget to say thank you, or why I forget to look at things in the light, the love, and the lessons in which they're provided to me to protect and promote me. And I'm always challenged to figure out, how can something that's so easy, something that takes 0.1 seconds, something that's free to do, and something that is proven in every religious text I've ever read, in every spiritual text I've ever read, in every philosophical text that I've ever read, and from every world thought leader that I've ever listened to, heard, talked to, every single one, not missing any single one, metaphysics, quantum physics, physics, every science book talk about the exponential impact of gratitude. And yet I sit here perplexed on my journey, which has lasted here now 17 years in a different trajectory of abundance and of faith. I am an intelligent being having a human existence, and I talk about intelligence as intellect, intuition, and inspiration. Other people may say they have a spiritual existence in a human journey. I believe intelligence is a better definition nowadays, with intellect, intuition, and inspiration aggregating or defining that intelligence as we move into an age of what people define as artificial intelligence. I just think it's another intelligence that can be utilized to expand, grow, and accelerate what we want. And with all of this intelligence, with all of this intellect, intuition, and inspiration that I live with, I can't understand why I have such a challenge to do something so easy as to say thank you. And then I received one of the greatest takeaways that resonated with me, and it keeps on resonating with me at the deepest level. And it is something like this. It's, what's easy to do, unfortunately, is easy not to do. That simple. What's easy to do is unfortunately easy not to do. And that's why so many people are challenged with saying thank you, including me. That's why by tonight, half of us won't say thank you. By tomorrow morning, another half of us won't say thank you. And within 3 days, almost all of us will stop saying thank you before we go to bed and when we wake up, even though every single source of intelligence, intellect, and intuition tells us the power and the impact of gratitude. But yet it is so easy to do, 0.1 seconds and free, that unfortunately it's easy not to do. And so I started to pay attention and give intention into the things that are easy. I focus in on the things that are easy. I give 5 levels of intention. I do the things that are easy. I say the things that are easy. I think the things that are easy. I believe the things that are easy, and I feel them as well. And the more habitual I am at that, by utilizing a consistent, persistent pursuit of that easiness, as I utilize the mathematical environment that we live in, that all energy aggregates, accelerates, and compounds upon itself. All energy being money, aggregates, accelerates, and compounds upon itself, or behaviors, good behavior accelerates, compounds, and aggregates upon itself, and so does bad. And when I am heightening my awareness by paying attention and giving intention to the easy things to do that have the greatest impact on my life, they now, fortunately, are not easy not to do. And so I'm using all of what is given to me in the realm of attention and intention to create the coincidences, the coinciding of abundance in my life, and empower others to do the same. very simple takeaway. It's if it's easy to do, unfortunately, it's easy not to do. That's my takeaway for the week, Jake. And I'd love to hear someone else share theirs as well. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I'm going to start inviting some more people in here as well. So thanks, Jake. Jake.
Thank you so much, Dave. I was on mute there, still learning the
Oh, that's the first time. That's the first time you've done that in a long, long time. I'm usually the one that does that. That's good. Go ahead. I told you if it's easy to do, it's unfortunately easy not to do. That's the mute. That's the definition of the mute button. The universe providing a real-time lesson for all of us. That's awesome.
There we go. Easy to do. Share your takeaways here on Clubhouse. Just feel free to raise your hand or back channel me, and we will aim to bring you up. So, Dave, we actually got a special guest. We have Marissa here, who's actually Dave's daughter. Welcome, Marissa, to the Clubhouse. What's your takeaway of the week?
Hi everyone, thanks for having me. My takeaway of the week is to ask for help for people sitting in the situation you want to be in, and I've just really seen the power of it, especially this week. And I've been asking for help, just from everyone on the team in general. Like, I think I've sat on the call with maybe 3 different leaders on the team to ask, like, how do I do this? How can I be better at this? Or just listen in, even on your own calls, Jake, and see what you do and like how you accomplish things. As well as like when I'm taking on a new task this week, I just noticed like calling and making sure that I know like every minuscule detail will just make sure that I'm like leaving less room for error and just mitigating that risk in that sense.
And why do you think it is, Marissa, that especially so many young people are afraid to ask for help? I spend an enormous amount of time asking people to ask me for help and asking people to ask other people for help. What do you think it is? And you're not alone, right? When people ask me what I would change or tell myself at 15, 25, 35, 45, or what I tell myself today at 55, and it's always those 3 words, I would have definitely remember and recollect to ask for help, to know that I'm building a community of people who want to help each other and know people who can help each other. And that is the way that we accelerate and aggregate our own elevation and others' elevation as well. Why do you think it is that it's so scary to ask for help?
Like father, and supervisor, and it's actually really funny because you're my dad. I can literally call you at any time of the day and like drop something to answer me. But when I was working with you, I this to bother you, and you had to tell me, you're like, I want to help you. Like, please call me anytime. You're never bothered me. I want you to grow.
I love it. Yeah, it's amazing how that business relationship changes. I will tell everyone as well. One of the other things that was really humorous to me in the relationship change when you're working with your family member, normally during the day, everybody is looking to make sure that, I'm catered to, making sure the efficiencies, effectiveness. And the first time Marissa and I I was speaking in Barbados, and I looked at her and I said, "Hey, can you go down to the front desk and do this?" It was like a cat in the headlights. She's like, "What are you talking about? Like, that's your job. You're supposed to go down." Because her only experience with me at hotels was when we were on vacation, when I catered to my family, and now she had to cater to me. But thanks, Marissa, for being vulnerable, and I know sharing with others helps as well. And thank you for Jake for bringing up Marissa. Jake, who's up next? Thank you. Love you.
Thank you.
Good.
Hello, gentlemen.
Yeah, right on. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Takeaway this week is get back to basics. Truly, we spend a lot of time focusing on what we're not doing or implementing or what the next big thing is. And for me, this week it was like, hey, let's take some stock and recollect what's got me here. And one of those big things is face-to-face meetings and the community and the energy and engagement that you get by putting yourself in a room, setting up meetings, just getting that energy and putting power of the relationships that you already have versus always seeking the new stuff, which is not to say that you should disregard always looking for new stuff and new relationships, but you know, you can turn your desk over and find, for me, I can turn my desk over and find 5 deals that have already been in the hopper. So it's just focusing on people that I know, going deeper, setting up meetings, getting face to face, and using that power and energy to make more money and have a lot of fun.
And help more people, that's for sure.
Exactly.
Will, you bring up a really good point because, you know, we were just talking about asking for help, and there's 4 ways that we ask, right? In person, on the phone, via email, and media, traditional and social. And asking for help is finding people who sit in a situation that you want to be in, or finding people that have open minds, open hearts, and open hands. And a lot of times we don't focus in on the people that we already have established. And, you know, I see this especially in our business and our life today, where there's so many options, opportunities, touches of favor, that we're missing the obvious. You know, we're so excited by the new shiny coin that we forget about the most valuable coins that we have, the existing relationships that we have. And, you know, in our own community, it's so important that we continue both to not only make new relationships to grow our community, but to nurture the relationships that we already have built and grown as well. And time is, of course, for me, a critical component of that, to make sure that 7 days a week, every day, that I'm consistent and persistent in the pursuit of the potential of the size, scope, and scale of the community of open-minded, open-hearted, and open-handed people. And I'm just grateful that you're part of that community, and that you're showing up a lot in my life lately, in person, on the phone, on Clubhouse, and other places. And it really has made a difference to our community. So thanks, Will, for joining us. Jakey Bakey, thank you, brother. Great takeaway for everyone to improve upon. And Jake, why don't we keep on learning here by having people give us their best resonation of the week, meaning that which resonates with them, the lesson of the week, the takeaway of the week. Go ahead, reset the room, Jake, and let's bring someone else up.
Thank you so much, Willie. It is 7 a.m. 7:15 a.m. Pacific time, 10 a.m. Eastern time. Welcome, everybody. This is David Belcher's Hour here on the Breakfast with Champions. Today's topic is takeaway of the week. So if you'd like to share your takeaway, it could be anything you've learned, anything you want to share, any experiences that you had. Feel free to just raise your hand or back channel me, and we will aim to bring you up. Let's also take a second here. Let's invite your friends, your family, the whole community. You can do that at the bottom here on Clubhouse. There is a square with an arrow. You can share it on Twitter, Facebook, your text messages, share on Clubhouse. Let's continue to share the room and bring on more people to share their takeaway of the week. So next update, we got Mike. Mike, if you want to unmute yourself, and welcome to the room. What's your takeaway of the week?
Awesome, sweet. Thank you guys for having me. My takeaway is understanding the value of knowing what you're doing now and what you're doing next, which also allowing me to make decisions quickly to progress and learn more faster. Been a huge takeaway this week. Thanks for having me on.
I love it, Mike. What a great takeaway, man. Talking that fast, you must get a lot done because you don't waste any time. So what I heard you say is that your takeaway is how important prioritization is, of knowing what to do now and knowing what to do next. And at its core, knowing what to do now and knowing what to do next is a confirmation that you know what's important to you. When you know what's important to you, you can make decisions quicker. If you subscribe to the same philosophy that I do, that we don't know what we don't know, whenever we make more decisions in a day, statistically, we'll be more successful, because under the context of my faith that there's something bigger than me, an omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing source, and that source loves me more than my mom, which makes me an incredible resource, then if every decision I make is in my best interest. Think about this. Faith is derived from knowing, not thinking, but believing and feeling that every decision I make is in my best interest. Will it result in pain, mistakes, failures, and setbacks? Absolutely. But as an infinite source, an omniscient and all-knowing source, it's absolutely in my best interest. So that if we're not prioritizing, if we don't have that great confirmation of knowing what to do now and knowing what to do next, and being able and capable of understanding that we have a well-developed plan for today, but even more importantly, we have our prioritization of what's important to us, so that when God laughs at our plan to give us a new plan, one which is of protection and promotion, a better plan than the one that we came up with, then our statistical success is derived from how many decisions can we make in a day, because the only thing that determines when we will find out what a great decision it is time. And you could take all day, all month, and all year to make a decision, and it still will take a certain amount of time until you see the protection and promotion, or the light, the love, and the lessons in that decision. In the short term, all decisions may appear to be genius. In the short term, all decisions may seem to be tragic, or all decisions may seem to be neutral, non-impactful, of no consequence. But I think it's important to understand that all decisions made are to protect and promote you, to learn lessons, to find light, and to find love. And so the more decisions we make, and the better our systems are to be efficient, effective, and statistically successful in a shorter amount of time. In other words, the speed in which we learn the lessons, find the light and the love, is a direct impact into our lives. And all of them are effectuated by one simple confirmation of prioritization. Prioritization is the antidote to procrastination, as well as feeling overwhelmed. And the one that frustrates me most is those people that feel overwhelmed do not appreciate, acknowledge, and ask for more, because they don't realize that feeling overwhelmed is a product or a byproduct of abundance. You cannot feel overwhelmed unless you have more than enough opportunities, options, and touches of favor that unfortunately paralyze us in the decision-making process and the prioritization process. When you know what to do now and know what to do next, it means you know what you want today in a trajectory of what you think you want, and giving the correct meaning to the inflection points, defining moments of your past, in order to accelerate, compound, and aggregate that trajectory that you think you want in the future. Pain, setbacks, failures, and mistakes will indicate to you a better place, a better position. Therefore, it is crucial that you take on a prioritization process of what is important to you, who you can help, who can help you, and how best to get that done, using time as a dependent variable and lenses within the context of that time of productivity, accessibility, and gratitude, in order to accelerate, aggregate, and compound your behaviors to progress in a trajectory of where you think you want to be. This is one of my biggest takeaways of my life, and I appreciate that you have learned it as well. I hope everyone was taking notes, if it resonated with you, on how to prioritize, but even more importantly, how important it is to prioritize so you don't procrastinate or feel overwhelmed, knowing what's important to you, who you can help, who can help you, and how best to get that done. Thank you, Mikey. I appreciate you coming on and sharing that takeaway. I appreciate everybody here participating in this perception of any course, of how it resonates with you and how you can utilize it to make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun. In other words, to be happy. Jake, why don't you reset the room? Let's invite even more people in here.
Thank you so much, Dave. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, everyone, for asking your questions here and sharing your takeaways on Takeaway of the Week here in the Breakfast with Champions. Yes, as Dave mentioned, let's continue to share the room. See that at the bottom, there's a little square with an arrow. So let's continue to share. You can share it on Twitter, Facebook, text messages, and then, of course, here on Clubhouse. And also follow the people next to you, follow the people on stage. And, of course, if anyone has any questions for Dave or wants one of Dave's free trainings or guides or a free book, you can just email him. His email is david@dmeltzer.com, david@dmeltzer.com. So, Dave, I'll pass it back over to you. If you want to take a question on Zoom, and then when you're back, Gigi's here to share her takeaway of the week.
Yeah, of course. And wow, there's a lot on there. Sorry, what a blessing. Speaking of takeaways, someone says, how do you make sure you remember the lessons you're learning? Look, remembering, recollecting, and reminding is a process of knowing your oneness. And we have several different intelligences. We have our intellect or intuition, as well as our affective communication capabilities. And part of effectively communicating is an execution model for lessons. And that is capturing those lessons that resonate with us, distributing them to points of access, and then being able to prioritize those lessons and then execute on those lessons. And so if we are utilizing a process of the ability to reposit lessons that resonate with us, to access those lessons and prioritize those lessons, then execute on them. One of the mechanisms or modalities that I utilize with lessons to remember them is to attach stories to them. I might have a unique brain, or it might be true for everyone else. I do know that people learn lessons best from stories. And stories are like songs. People like to hear the same story again and again and again so that they can remember, recollect, and remind the lesson that is inclusive in the story. They want to remind, remember, and recollect how that story makes them feel, the same way that you want to know that a song makes you feel a certain way that allows you to remind, recollect, and remember with loved ones from the past, or current loved ones, or friends, families, or associates, whatever it is. These are the attachments of lessons. So every lesson that I reposit and prioritize, I notate the best story. I don't write it out. I don't script it. I simply put a little notation. So if there's, just because someone loves you doesn't mean they give you good advice. That might just say next to it, mom telling me to be a real lawyer. That's the only note that it has. But there's an entire story around how my mom's ignorant arrogance that's caused by her great fear for me. She has more fear for me than I have for myself. Always, tends to lean towards giving me advice based on fear, not on acceleration, right? So then people who love us sometimes give us bad advice because they're so afraid for us. They're more afraid for us than we are for ourselves, and they are for themselves. And anybody that's a parent knows this to be true. And it's a type of ignorant arrogance that creates dis-ease or interference between us and our potential, because we allow people who are more afraid for us because they love us so much to make decisions for us. Now, the people who hate us, and naturally, when we talk about resonating lessons, 10% of the people in here should not resonate with anything I say. It should be like Tabasco to a womb. And then when somebody else gives their takeaway, 10% of those people should not like that. And those people have obvious ignorant arrogance to them, and they're not of danger to us at all, because it's very obvious when people are haters and project their insecurities and go to blame, shame, and justification as if they know it all. No, you don't know it all, and neither do I. It's just what is resonating with you. Now, 10% are equally as dangerous to us, because no matter what we say, it resonates with them, and they're going to express an over-exaggerated perspective of genius and tell us, oh my God, you're a genius. No, not at all. It's just that this naturally is at your frequency and is resonating with you, and we don't have to attribute too much value just because it's at your frequency. It's the other 80% or so, notating, of course, all statistical success. 99% of all statistics are made up. So I've made up this accumulation of 10, 80, 10. It's somewhere around there. But the 80% require one thing: repetition. In order to find the light, the love, and the lessons in the stories, we need to hear the stories more than once. We need to hear those stories and learn those lessons more than once, and the lessons will keep on coming until we learn them. And so if we understand how frequency, vibration, or resonation works within the light, the love, and the lessons in our life to accelerate, aggregate, and grow, it becomes quite easy to depict the advice or lessons that are best suited for us right now. In other words, to prioritize our now and know what to do next by the lessons. And we want to make sure that we are attaching a story. And in that story, remember, we want to give the meaning of our past that is aligned with the future or trajectory that we want. So don't punish yourself with different meanings of inflection points, defining moments, or historical references in your story that are going to interfere with your success or your potential. So many people do that, right? They're still stuck back when they're 9. They are victims. They're punishing themselves with the meaning that they give their past. Stop doing it. Utilize the lessons in the stories in order to propel you and protect you and promote you, not punish you. It's very important to remember, remind, and recollect the lessons that resonate with us by the stories that we tell ourselves. All right. Excellent takeaways. I know we have my two favorite letters coming up. Gigi, what do you got for us today?
So I think this is I don't know, years, lifetime takeaway for the first time, and I never asked for this. I understood what you say by like I feel I'm in the right place at the right time, and you always say if you want to make Carl laugh, make a good plan. And I never asked you about that. That doesn't make any sense. And for the first time, I'm actually understanding that we don't know what tomorrow brings, and we can only hope for the best. And if we have faith, we're gonna end up in a better position. So that was a long, and that's my biggest takeaway. It's like I'm always in the right place at the right time.
You are. And I am taking away from your takeaway, Gigi, because it's so interesting, right? We talked extensively about the idea of why making decisions quickly, aligned and trusting and vetting them accordingly to our values of what, who, and how is so essential. But in the essence, we don't know what we don't know. But with faith, all decisions are to protect and promote us. It's just a matter of time until we find out how it's protecting and promoting us. So the aggregate of making decisions quickly, but there is a lesson or a takeaway within the lesson that you shared with us, and that's that you're not always ready to understand a lesson. And, I'll use Amelia as an example. We joke around all the time because I've known her for so long and have mentored her. And she has taught me so much by being a teacher, a mentor, and a coach with her. But she was very, very resistant to my unwinding routine. She made fun of me behind my back. She called bullshit on me to my face. As I always say, they laugh at you, scoff at you, and make fun of you. And then when they experience or understand it at the 5 levels of attention, they applaud you. It holds true so much of the time. So when we hear a lesson that resonates with us, we may not understand it. It may just be a seed. It may resonate with us and cause us to project our insecurity that we don't understand it. So when we don't understand something, it causes fear. And then when we have fear, we go ahead and laugh, scoff, and make fun of things we don't understand. We separate ourselves as either inferior or superior to what we don't understand. And I have been blessed to be around this process of reconciliation where people hear something again and again and again and have no clue. And some people are open-minded all the time. Some people are not, and they don't necessarily agree with things. And I will tell you, one of the biggest lessons in my life that I learned that I rejected in the same way when I was young is I learned something called solution selling when I was 24 years old. And I was, making over $1 million a year. And I thought I knew everything there was about sales. And when I first was exposed to a gentleman who wrote the book, his name is Michael Bosworth, a mentor of mine in Del Mar. And, man, did he laugh at me. I could see now looking back how much I laughed at him, scoffed at him, and made fun of him, that he didn't know what the F he was talking about, that, how dare he even try to teach me about sales. And in my ignorant arrogance, I look back now, it's 31 years ago, and I am so grateful that that man had the patience to allow me to learn and never stop teaching me, and repetitive, constant lessons and mentoring from him, because at its core foundation, solution selling has changed my life. It's a core of the 5 to Thrive system that I have, of the open-minded, open question template that I have, inclusive in my own book and process of manifestation, from possibilities to probabilities to perspective to reality to applying my why. All of these, the seeds were from something that I wholeheartedly rejected for quite a bit, and attacked, judged, made fun of, not just to his face, but behind his back. And there's so many instances of that in my own life where I have done that to others who have impacted me so positively. And I know the same holds true for me to other people that hopefully will have over time the same epiphanies of the impact that we have of things that maybe we reject or fear at first. So thank you for bringing that up, Gigi, the evolution of the lessons and the stories and how you have evolved by seeds that we planted here on Breakfast of Champions and other places. It's so true. All right, Jake, we're about halfway through the takeaways of the week, and we are learning so much. And hopefully you're taking notes of things that resonate with you. Jake, why don't you reset the room, and who's up next?
Perfect. Thank you so much. Quickly resetting the room. Champion Friday, January 7:30, 4 a.m. Pacific Time. We have 26 minutes here left in the Breakfast of Champions. This week's topic is the takeaway of the week. So if anyone has a takeaway of the week that they'd like to share, just feel free to raise your hand or back channel me, and we will aim to bring you up. Let's also continue to share the room. You share it at the bottom here. There's a little square with an arrow. Continue to share on Clubhouse with your friends, your family, and messages. Let's grow this room and grow this community out. So, Dave, I'll pass back over to you if you want to take a question on Zoom, and then we'll bring up Colleen to ask a question to share her takeaway of the week on Clubhouse.
Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for lining up to ask questions. We have them on every, I'm actually going to take one from IG because there's so many on there as well. And let's see here. This is a good takeaway because it's, what is your top advice for someone who's just starting the practice of meditation? Well, speaking of resisting and ignorant arrogance, another thing that has impacted my life more than anything else, solution selling by Mike Bosworth being one of them, it would be meditation. I've been meditating for 17 years, 20 minutes a day, almost every day of my life. Certainly now, at least in the last 5 years, I have not missed a day because meditation is a non-negotiable part of my health routine, which I give a minimum of an hour a day on my health every day. And so I don't miss it, but I resist it. I resisted it when we started. And then I was blessed to be motivated to get up and get started by someone that met me where I'm at and explained to me through meditation, she could raise my awareness. And I still wasn't interested. And when she explained to me she could raise my awareness of when to buy or sell, she stimulated my interest enough to get started by using fear, scarcity as a mechanism to utilize the ability to get started or to get back started or to get up or get back up. But then she used inspiration in order to facilitate getting me to where I am today. And like I said, meditation has had even more of an impact on me than solutions selling. And the way that I best help people, the way that I was helped to start meditating is one, meet them where they're at for why they want to meditate. For me, it was to make more money initially. Now it's to be happy and empower others to be happy. But find out, what objective they have, because meditation applies to all objectives. And then once you do, then there's a process that lowers the bar and allows people not to get in their own way, which is usually the biggest inhibitor of meditation, is people get in their own way and they outthink themselves, outlogic themselves, oversell, back and sell, lie, manipulate, and cheat themselves or deny themselves what they're connected to and through an omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing source that allows them to access the information. That's right, the intellectual intelligence that can be put into form, that information that's necessary to live bigger and better lives. And so how do we do this? Number one, meet people where that, find out why you want to meditate. What do you want to apply meditation to today in a trajectory where you think you want to be tomorrow or far in the future, it doesn't matter. And then that will get you started. And then when you get started, go ahead and practice sitting still, nothing else. Don't worry about anything else, what you're thinking, talking, believing, feeling. Just practice if you can sit still. Then when you get good at sitting still, practice actually being quiet. Once again, it doesn't matter what's going on in your mind, because eventually with meditation, you're not listening to your mind, you're talking to your mind, right? I always tell people it's much better to talk to your mind, not listen to your mind. Our minds come up with all types of separation and interference. But if we talk to it, we can clear that interference. And so when we learn to sit still and then we learn to be quiet, the third stage of meditation to learn is to learn to be aware. Now we can be aware of the interference between us and source. And that awareness to identify fear, to identify the needs to be right, offended, separate, inferior, superior, anxious, frustrated, angry, guilty, resentful, to identify the interference in our life and then be able to clear it. And so what we do is first practice sitting still, then practice being quiet, then practice awareness. And then finally, you can practice transcendence, which is taking the intelligence from the universe, the intellect, the intuition, and the inspiration, and put it into form. And so that we then can transcend the information into our daily practices. These are the 4 steps of how to get started and how to evolve the meditation that we utilize, whatever type of meditation it is that helps you sit still, be quiet, be aware, and transcend. And if we do so, we will be able to experience the aggregation, acceleration, and compounding effect of that intelligence that we're connected to and through an omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing source that makes us an incredible resource through intellect, through intuition, and inspiration. And meditation is the best and most effective way to do that. And if anyone needs any help with that and those 5 different stages in order to effectuate meditation, they're extremely effective to baby step their way to transcendence and to manifestation. In other words, to living without the interference between you and your potential. All right. That's a great takeaway and question. Thank you for bringing that up. Jake, who's up next?
So, Dave, you've talked a lot about the snapshots and trying to work through those as you've grown as a person. When you're younger and maybe you're a different person and different lifetime, and you go and see relatives that haven't seen you since then, and that's the essence of who they think you are. So I've been working through the snapshots in my life and all the snapshots that make up the whole, the person that I am. And just working through the good and the bad and understanding those and how they do relate to the I am and who I am today. So I think through, not only growth and communication, but just understanding those snapshots of how you've grown and taking inventory of all the things that have changed in your life. I think it's just so important to do not only daily, but just look at the whole and grow from there.
Yeah, what a great takeaway. I think, it reminds me of a quote that I love, right? And I got this from Laura, and she's so funny. But she said this, I don't even think she understood the wisdom that she told me, but she said, what you think of me is none of my business. Think about that. What you think of me is none of my business, and it shouldn't be, because yes, we're participating in a perception of snapshots. We're participating in a perception of our experiences with other people. But even furthermore, we can't participate in other people's perception of us, because as much as we feel as if they have a snapshot that we can determine, we can't. So what you think of me is none of my business. But it does allow us to clear the interference between our past and our present. It allows us to understand that if somebody says something, does something, feels something, believes something about us, and effectuates or executes on that in that perception, number one, what you think of me is none of my business. And 2, I have no way of participating in your perception of me. But I do know that there's been defining moments, inflection points, and historical relevances in our relationship that give you a different perception of me compared to what I am today or think that I am today. And therefore, we need to forgive ourselves because we may have not said, done, believed, thought, or felt a certain way with certain people, especially relatives and close friends. And so those friends or family members that judge us for who we were when we were 7 or 10 or 18, because that's when they spent the most time with us. Just realize that forgiveness is the key to clearing the interference between you and the snapshots of your past, the inflection points, defining moments that other people perceive you to be. But in the end, what they think of you is none of your business. What is your business is who you are today and what pursuit you have of your potential and a trajectory of what you think you want in the future, by giving meaning, by finding the light, the love, and the lessons in your past, in those snapshots, in other people's participation in your perception, to accelerate and grow instead of punish you. And so many people create void, shortages, and obstacles and punishment in their most relative relationships because they don't adhere to the rule of what you think of me is none of my business. And they don't adhere to the rule that I have changed. And if you are someone who feeds me, I may want to illustrate those changes or articulate those changes or communicate those changes with you. I will tell you, if you make the decision that somebody's worth feeding because they feed you, that the best way to heal or to realign or re-engineer the snapshot is to pray for their happiness and to do kind deeds for them and to do good with them, even if they're attacking you, judging you, and bleeding you at this time. If they are worth it in your prioritization process, if they are someone that you want to maintain or grow a relationship with, the best way to heal that relationship is through forgiveness and providing value or doing good for that person. The true enlightenment comes when you can love those that hate you, when you can do good things for those who intentionally try to harm you, when you can reach that level of oneness and that understanding of self. And like I said, not caring, right, none of my business what other people think of me, but even furthermore, allowing people over a period of time to re-engineer their own snapshots or perceptions of me. And this is a huge undertaking for life, especially with relatives and friends that we want the approval of, or we want to be around, or we want to have a feeding relationship with. We have to use forgiveness of self and also perspective and participation of perspective in order to effectuate healing of discretions that may not be favorable in the past, getting into fights and arguments and, stealing change out of your mom's purse or whatever else it may be that people judge you. I'm 55 years old and I have some relatives that they literally, their perception of me is one from the summer I spent at their cottage when I was 15. And man, I do not want to participate in that perception of me. And I don't want to make it any of my business of what they think of me. If that's all they think of me is who I was when I was 15 years old for a summer at their cottage. But we all suffer from this and we all struggle with it because we want the approval of certain people. Don't worry. Don't obsess on the interference that's been created by the past. Give it a new meaning, forgive yourself, be accountable, and heal it by doing good deeds and thinking good thoughts and having good feelings for that other person. Very, very poignant, very important for everyone today because so many people have made it their business to care what other people think about them instead of what am I doing to participate in that perception. Thank you so much. All right, Jay, we got 13 minutes. Let's reset the room. This has been a great takeaway of the week session. We were learning so much and hopefully creating a system for anything that's resonating with you to reposit those lessons and attach a notation of a story to it. But go ahead, Jake. Let's reset the room.
Resetting the room. There's 13 minutes left here on David Meltzer's Power Hour. Let's continue to share the room, everybody. Please share the room. At the bottom, there is a square with an arrow. So let's continue to share on Clubhouse, messages, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and all your favorite platforms. Yes, this is David. The training today is takeaway of the week. So if you have a takeaway you'd like to share, please feel free to raise your hand or back channel me and we will aim to bring you up. And let's continue. Great takeaways so far. Let's bring up, looks like Blaine. Blaine, what's your takeaway of the week? You want to share your on Clubhouse?
Hi there. Thank you so much, Jake. The idea of choosing to be a victim. So that's my takeaway for the week.
Yeah, Blaine, so many people choose to be a victim. They live in a world of not enough. They live in a world of why me? And they see themselves when pain, setbacks, failures, and mistakes occur that they're being punished. And the analogy that I've used over the years is that it's the same thing as if you reach out to go put your hand into a fire and your mom, who loves you more than anything, slaps the back of your hand and screams at you, no, and you immediately start crying and ask, why are you punishing me? That's the exact same thing that occurs every day to people who have a victim mindset, a victim heart set, and a victim handset, a why me attitude. Yes, you receive pain, setbacks, failures, and mistakes. But just as if your mom slaps you and yells at you to protect you and promote you from putting your hand in a fire, the same holds true when you don't or aren't capable of raising the money, or you don't get a job, or you don't get into the school you want, or your football team gets crushed in the playoffs again, like the Dallas Cowboys do every year. They're not being punished. They're being protected and promoted. I don't know how yet, because only time will tell how, but I'm sure the Cubs, the Chicago Cubs in baseball for 100 years felt like they were being punished. But when they finally won, the protection and promotion was of equal weight to the punishment, or I'm sorry, the pain, setbacks, and failures and mistakes that they had seen for over a century. Same thing holds true in life. Faith is your currency. Faith is an energy. Faith says that I am connected to and through, unlike my mom, an omniscient. That means all knowing, all powerful being. And yet, as much as my mom loves me, that being, that omniscient, all powerful, all knowing being that is bigger than me is also bigger than my mom, but also loves me more than my mom. Therefore, just like my mom, she is not going to let me do everything, especially things that are going to burn me, things that are going to hurt me, things that are going to punish me. So the exact opposite or counterintuitive to what we think when we see pain, that we are actually being indicated or educated there's a better place, a better position, or a better situation to be in, not a worse one. But if you don't have faith, if you don't believe there's more than enough of everything for everyone, and you live in a world of not enough, and you think about all the pain, struggles, setbacks, failures, mistakes as punishment, that's exactly what you'll receive. If you're looking for what you don't want, what other people want, if you're listening to the people laughing, scoffing, and make fun of you instead of what you want, one of the realizations, Blaine, that I had recently is that as I look back and, I use a mountain climbing analogy for this. And in my life, if I'm at base camp 6 trying to get to base camp 7, I've noticed that all the people at base camp 7 are positive. All the people ahead of me are telling me, you can do it. Let me help you do it. And yet people behind me at base camp 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, some are encouraging. Some are ignorant and arrogant, and they love me so much and are so encouraging that they're telling me out of fear that I can't make it to base camp 7 because I might fall down the mountain and get hurt. Because they love me so much, they're more afraid for me than they are for themselves. But I will tell you this, the people who tell me I can't do it, whether it be out of ignorant arrogance of love or ignorant and arrogance out of fear, they're all below me. They're all at base camp 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All the haters, all the interference in your life come from the base camps behind you. They're not from the people that can help you. They're from the people that need help. And so it's so important, once again, to not think you're being attacked. You're not a victim. And if you feel as if people are attacking and making you a victim, look what base camp they're at and ask yourself, am I being promoted and protected? because they are. Right? They are the people that do that. I help a lot of authors right now, and I love telling the story about that, book review from Goodreads, famous book reviewer that, 10 years ago when I launched my first book, said, what a stupid book Connected to Goodness is. It talks about you could talk to water. You can change the color of water by talking to it. You can clear it up or dirty it up by what you say, by the vibration or frequency of your voice, which is, I did a lot of research on. It's in movies and other books and world thought leaders, physicists. I've done my research metaphysically, physically, quantum physically, how you can change water, one of the greatest conductors of energy, which is why we bless wine, right? We bless wine. And even within the context of kosher wine, it's not blessed. It's actually, they utilize a rabbi to make sure it's not blessed so that you can bless it and then drink it in your blessing. So I put my intentions in every sip of water for that reason, because I'm drinking in what I want, who I can help, who can help me, and how best to get it done. I'm drinking in that energy, and you can change the energy. But I thought I was punished by this review, right? This is a horrible book. This guy's an idiot. You could talk to water, ha, ha, ha. And I was so upset, right? My very first big review of my book just shat on me. And then when I realized I was protected and promoted beyond what I ever could imagine, because all the people who believed what that reviewer said about my book didn't buy it. Because I realized if they did, they would have hated my book. They're not on my frequency. They're not on my vibration. But instead, that bad review, that fire that I was going to put my hand into and waste time, energy, emotion, value, and defend myself and project my insecurities. Instead, it brought all these other people who ended up buying my book because they disagreed with the reviewer of the book. They agreed with me. So not only were they protecting me from people who weren't going to like my book, they were enticing people and stimulating them to go buy my book if they did agree. And so a lot of times a victim would have been victimized and created and looked for what they didn't want and got more of what they didn't want. Instead, I looked at what I did want and got more of what I did want by understanding I was being protected and promoted by the pain, setbacks, failure, mistakes, attacking thoughts, and perceptions of others that are negative and base camps behind me or below me. Great question. Jake, we have time for one more, and hopefully let me know where we're going to get that from.
Perfect, Dave. Thank you so much. Actually, there's a really good question on TikTok that I think is very, that I think it would be good to answer right now. It's from DZ. The question is, what do you do when you realize you asked the wrong person for help?
Yeah, there are no wrong people for help. But if we ask someone and we find out, that through the process of trusting and vetting them, that there is somebody better to ask for help from, then we go ahead and find, through the process of trusting and vetting, somebody better. But when we ask someone for help, remember, we're asking them as well how we could be of service or value to them, right? We're saying, so, as we vet them, we trust someone, we find out, okay, this person sits in a situation that I want to be in. And then I ask them, okay, so what do you do today? What do you like about it? What don't you like it? Would it help you if? And then I find out, oh, do you know when it could help me? I'm looking for someone that can help me get on more stages or create a podcast or speak. Well, through the process of vetting them, you may find out that they are not aligned or they don't resonate with you, or there's somebody better that can help you. So what are you doing? You're progressing. You're protected and promoted by finding the person that you found in order to get to a better person, a better situation, a better event, a better circumstance for yourself. And so they may not be the best person, but they are of value at all times. And so when you ask for help, it doesn't mean the person that you're asking for help from necessarily is the best person who sits in the situation that you want to be in, but at least you are working through the process of alignment with your own values, practices, and execution model in order to determine where your skills, knowledge, and desire are aligned with, synergistic or supplementary to where that person is. And if it's not the best person, we can always ask, do you know anyone else that can help me? And we will continue to progress. Remember, the only instant result of good behavior of asking for help is progress. And that progress is an energy, an aggregation of energy, an acceleration of energy, a compounding interest of energy, just like money. And so that we have to be aware of the behavior that we have, because the instant result of good behavior is good progress, not good results. So don't think you're going to get good results when you have good behavior instantaneously, but do expect good progress, even if you aren't capable of being aware of the progress. And the same holds true for bad behavior. What you'll get with bad behavior is bad progress, and the results will come at the right place at the perfect time. So good behavior does have good results eventually, and bad behavior have bad results eventually. I use smoking as the best example of that. I can't tell you how many people tell me, oh, you know what? I've smoked 3 packs of cigarettes for 35 years. And then in year 36, they're surprised when they get lung cancer. Well, what do you think that bad behavior was doing? It was progressing towards a bad result. But time is a dependent variable of all matter, subjective and objective matter. So eventually, whether it's this lifetime, next lifetime, or 1,000 lifetimes, your behaviors will have a quantifiable result that you can be aware of. So why not create an aggregate effect that you want by aggregating good behavior and trusting the fact that the instant result is good progress, etc. So, all right, Jake, it's time to close out the room. What a great way to finish off. Thank you so much, everyone, for your takeaways. Remember, reposit the ones that resonate with you. Attach a notation of a story that will remind, remember, and recollect for you, and create a system to access the lessons in the stories. I promise you that behavior will create good progress and eventually good results in the trajectory of what you think you want, and the ability to know what you want, who you can help, who can help you, how to get it done, and prioritize the now and the next to apply your why. Remember, you are happy, healthy, wealthy, and worthy. Let's all help each other figure out what we're doing to interfere with it. Jake, it's 8 on the dot Pacific time. Let's close out the room. Thank you, everyone. Email me if you'd like those exercises for today. David@dmeltzer.com. David@dmeltzer.com. Thank you, Jake.
Thank you so much, Dave.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate you. Please email me if you'd like my book, my guides, my exercises from today. The replays are available as well. Just email me, David@dmeltzer.com. Remember, most importantly, be more interested. Oh, by the way, I'm doing a meetup at noon in Carlsbad at the Aviera Hotel. I'll be speaking there. Come by, swing by. We'd love to meet you in person and answer questions and help you there. Please join me noon today at Aviera in Carlsbad. Otherwise, be more interested than interesting. Be kind to your future self and do good deeds. We'll see you later. Thanks.